Welcome to a new spirit that will warm your heart. Welcome to a new spirit. Every day's a brand new start. Where encouraging words can heal your soul and dreams will be renewed. Welcome to a new spirit, a new spirit in you. Hello?
Hey, did you hear
There
anything?
we go. Nope.
Oh, that's horrible. Because mine
no.
was on anyway.
No, oh no, I heard the intro. I heard the intro song, if that's what you're asking, and then it
Well,
was
that's
silent.
good. Because mine was like, wow. Talk about entertaining and starting here.
To anyone
Supposedly
listening, please let us know how the audio is doing.
yeah, because I can't even find this on YouTube at the moment. So I'm like
Oh, I have
scratching
us
my.
on YouTube.
Do you? Good, because I
I
don't.
do, yeah.
Okay.
Kathy says hi,
Ah,
Tom and Kat. Hi, Kathy.
great. Because I like again freaked out and I'm like, I want to do
Oh
my opening.
no.
Okay, ready?
Yes.
RESPCT, find out what it means to me.
Girl.
Welcome to the New Spirit Radio Show by the Society of Novus Spiritus, founded by world-renowned spiritual teacher Sylvia Browne. Today's date, I trust it's December 14th of 2022. Coming to you live from California, both NorCal and SoCal are your hosts, Reverend Tom Bigley, yeah, that's what it says, and MIT Catherine Taylor, playing audio segments we call Messages from Spirit. Why? Answering the ultimate question, why are we here and what is our purpose?
These segments are recorded trance sessions from Francine, Sylvia's spirit guide. So for new people, Sylvia was a full trance medium, which means Sylvia contracted to let her and Francine's essences exchange places in Sylvia's body. And we think of our bodies being similar to a car, where one driver gets out and another driver gets in. This allowed Francine to share spiritual knowledge with us directly from the other side.
On occasion, another master teacher and healer, a guide named Raheim, would exchange with Sylvia and present us with spiritual information as well. Francina and Raheim shared directly from sources like the Akashic Records, Mother and Father God, our spirit guides, Christ, and many others.
And meanwhile, during trance, Sylvia would sit on a nice bench in a rose garden on the other side.
And here are our hosts, MIT Catherine Taylor and Reverend Tom Bigley.
Hello!
Woo, woo, woo,
And
woo,
hi,
woo.
everybody. So
That's
good to
supposed to be
see
the
everyone.
most recent way to, how do you say, hello, go away.
Yes.
Man, I've got these blue screens, book, book,
Oh, no.
book, book, book. I'm like, why? Man, the internet is
Oh
just
my
not
goodness.
helping here.
Oh.
Anyway, one step at a time. So real quick, we do have an agenda, and yes, we do keep it out front. And what is it? It's not hidden. It is exposed. It is
Transparent.
transparent. Thank you. What? Go away. I have this screen that
Oh.
just keeps popping up, popping up, popping up, and it's like, hello, I'm trying
Oh
to
no.
do something here. And anyway, so our agenda, should you agree to it or accept or something, first we'd love to start out with how did you use Novus Spiritus philosophy? Then we talk about announcements. Oh, by the way, while I'm talking about this, share in the comments what your stop that. What you use? How do you use Nova Spiritus philosophy in the last week, so we can share and discover with each other. I'll talk about some announcements. Then we have special prayers and a moment of silence. Let's see. Yes, we're going to listen to trance segments. And for those that want to participate and rejuvenate, we're going to have a meditation. I'll talk about some closing notes. And then everybody's welcome to participate in our prayer ceremony, the novena. I'll explain that when we get there for new people. I talk about what we want to ask and talk about what we want to be appreciative of, and then we conclude with a prayer by Sylvia. Next up is
Wonderful.
candle lighting.
Yay.
And we'll see if it stays lit for the rest of the show. Anyway,
Okay.
so our favorite segment, man,
Yes.
is what did you use? How did you use Novus philosophy in the last week? And so, Kat, do you want to do choose, select, Rochambeau, rock scissors, and paper, or
Well, okay, maybe I'll just go first this time.
all right,
I had I made space because it was Mother Asna's feast day on the 8th.
all
And
right,
so for anyone who's newer, December 8th is the Gnostic holiday for honoring the feminine divine, Mother God. And so, and the cat just agreed by jumping up. So here we go. Sorry, distracting me. So I wrote my letter to her of thanks, and then did some reflection on how this past year has been a challenge and a blessing in different ways. And I just made sure to say like heartfelt thank yous for the things that she did help out with for the year, and said, here's the course that I'm plotting, and I hope that you can help me out with those things for this coming year, and look after my loved ones in some respective ways. And then and then a tradition for Gnostics on Mother Asna's feast day is that you can ask for a flower, and oftentimes people will come back in like a couple of months or a month and say like, "Oh my gosh, I got my flower! It happened in the most amazing way."
yes,
And I'd had a crazy one happen a couple years ago that I was there where I had petitioned, said like, "Please give me a rose and break the clock downstairs because I hate the clock."
okay,
I want to make sure it's from you, Asna. I want to make absolutely
oh,
sure. So if this thing is going to come through, give me a rose and break the clock. And right as I had been going into my apartment, my scarf, because it was winter, had gotten caught on the rose bush that was right outside my apartment building. And there was only one rose that was left in the entire complex, and it was outside of my building, and my scarf had gotten caught. And I was like, what is this? And I turned around, and the rose had fallen right on my doorstep. And I was like,
ooh,
oh, really? This is really, really cool. Interesting. Okay, now I wonder if the clock broke. And then I walk inside, and the clock was dead. And I was like, thank you. Thank you, Holy
wow,
Mother, breaker of clocks. Give her
wow,
flowers. So, and the thing that I had asked for did come true, and that was a happy thing. So, a
fun,
friend had gotten looked after. So anyway, so I asked for a flower, and it was in a different context. I said, if this is something that I'm working through by myself, that's okay. But if it's something that you're also helping me through, just for my own, just general knowledge on this topic, I would appreciate it if you'd give me a flower. If it's something that I'm
yeah.
working through along with you, which is fine. So yeah, so it was a different context, but that's what I asked for. So
Nice. See, I've
yeah.
forgotten about that facet of, make your petition.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote
Nice.
I wrote mine down.
It works.
I wrote mine down, but I'd forgotten about, asking for a flower or anything like that.
Flower.
But to me, it's kind of like not out of disrespect. It's more like
Sure.
I don't need it. It's not
Yeah.
it's there's enough for me that it's not necessary to say,
Right.
hey, send me a flower if this is going to happen. And
Right.
it's more of well, anyway, that's
Yeah.
how I
The only times that I've ever asked for a flower has been kind of like a peace of mind, where I imagine
right.
like calling up my mom and saying, "Mom, can you give me some reassurance about something?"
Yeah.
It's fine. Like I'm okay with whatever the answer is when I've requested a flower. So yeah. Anyway, so this was a time where I requested a flower. If
Cool.
it happens, I'll be happy to share. So
Yeah. always fun. All the fun stories of how things are presented. You know, how do you get your flower? How do you get your sign? How do you get your
Right.
and the unusual ways that um, there are no coincidences.
There are no coincidences. Exactly. I am going to say it's not a coincidence that the cat jumped up right as I started talking about Mother As's feast day. So
Cool.
that's cool. That's cool. Um, so what about you? What did you use of Novus philosophy? And while Tom is talking, if anyone else would love to share, we would love to read your comments. What did you use of Novus philosophy? Okay, give you some time to write.
Mine's kind of not so much solidified, but um, uh,
That's
it's
okay.
more. It's about, I guess, grief, and
Mm.
um, I'm sort of on the opposite end of what had happened to me in the past. But today I learned that and I'm not that familiar with the person, but a gentleman named Twitch, who I guess was a DJ or a helpful,
Oh yeah.
uh, passed away from taking his own life. So
Oh.
apparently that's affected a lot of people. It was in the news, and I thought, okay, it didn't affect me that much. Just, but I recognize that many people have enjoyed that person's um, enjoyment and I guess entertainment and uh, um, and it, it affected them like it was a relative or a loved one. So recognize that, and because the person that brought it up earlier today at a meeting I was in was affected by it, and remembered when Robin Williams passed away, how many people
Oh
that
yeah.
affected too. And I thought, well, okay, I guess I'm on the opposite side of that, because I knew there were, at the time when Robin Williams passed away, there were, people that I was aware of were like, yeah, so kind of, not such a big deal to
Oh,
them. So
I
yeah,
knew a lot of
everybody's,
people that were really affected by Robin Williams'
yeah,
passing. Oh
and
man.
and I thought, it's anyway bringing back, and the other people have passed. So what was it? People were surprised that there was a reporter for the soccer association that recently passed away just suddenly. Well, his was like, turns out he had a aneurysm, which was like,
Oh, instant.
yeah, you're
Yeah.
gone. And so yeah, that's upset some people. And anyway, so going back to um, grief, when things like that come up, it's a reminder of that's our lesson, not theirs. The point is, where are they? They're with God, and they're in a wonderful environment, and we're here stuck with grief. So grief lasts about, um, though I recall it's like a 3 year
It's like
process
four and a
for,
half years.
yeah, okay,
Mhm.
somewhere in there. And
Yeah. Yeah.
from
Years.
Francine, I was
Mhm.
referring to, had brought this up in a trance session. And anyway, as harsh as it, as bad as you may feel or not, but if it's really affecting you, just remind yourself that uh, this too shall pass. It doesn't last forever, and every day is just one day. Take one day at a time, and just keep, if you have to, 1 minute at a time. Take one step at a time, and give yourself that time to say, and grief can be triggered by different things. It's not just about a loss of a loved one. There's, moving. Moving is a big disruption in your life.
Yeah.
A loss of a job.
Breakups,
Yeah,
divorces,
there you go. All those things are,
lost dreams. Yeah.
yeah. So um, give yourself that moment to, and recognize, hey, okay, this is something emotional that I got to deal with. I'm a human, and give yourself that space and time. And um, you know, if you need to read about it, there's material on it in the Journey of the Soul books, and there's lots of people that have written about how they've dealt with grief, and maybe that's something that can help you um, keep moving forward.
Absolutely.
That's my 2
It's a
cents.
it's an important 2 cents. Grief is like a pendulum, and you just have to let it swing. So sometimes you're fine, and sometimes and you're able to really focus on the present and on moving forward and on living life, and then other times it just swings you back into the past. And our job is just to let yourself go at your own pace, your own rhythm. And it absolutely some days is like, take it a minute at a time, take it an hour at a time, take it a day at a time.
Yep.
So just know that you are loved, and keep coming to other loved ones, and to your spirituality, and to your own prayers, and to this sessions. And just know that you're not alone. Never alone with grief.
And I guess a last point on that is, when you can, get out and help others, because that's going to help the time pass.
Yes, and it gets you out of yourself. Absolutely. Oh man.
Any comments?
So
Who's
we have comments. Yes, we do have comments. Lots of comments. Okay, so hello to everybody right back at you. Sherry shares first. My work paid me to visit the home office in Orange County, California last week. I asked for a smooth flight, and even though the last flight was almost canceled, they were able to get another airplane and to take us to Orange County before the airport curfew. I prayed for the archetypes, all the phylum of angels, Asna, and everyone on the other side for this, and all went well. That's
nice.
Great.
Yeah, hearing all the
smooth travels.
Yeah, hearing all the many of the horror stories of canceled flights and rearrangements, and oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes. Thomas shares, I used the prayer for protection this week that was on Facebook, and it helped me avoid a possible car accident when someone ran a red light. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're okay, yeah. Thomas. Yes. Kristen shares, I requested a flower that would catch my eye, that Mother Asna hears me. And I went out to the beach and sat down, and 2 huge red roses were placed right there.
Wow. Wow.
That's incredible. That is so incredible. It gives me chills.
Do roses grow at the beach? Yeah, no.
No.
That's cool.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Josh says, Gelsey, that's my nickname, and Reverend T, it's the name of your spiritual rap group.
Ah, very good.
Oh my goodness. All right. Linda says, I prayed to a loved one to visit me in dreams, and he did more than once. That is very sweet. I'm really happy you were able to have that experience. Cool. If anyone has anything else to share, please do. And otherwise, we'll continue on, I think.
Therefore, I am. Oh, so we did that one, and
we have one more.
Okay, do that, and then I'll...
Okay. So Kaija shares, I was at a very low point in my life. I was raising 3 children on my own, and I pleaded to Mother and Father God to send me 3 roses. And roughly 2 weeks later, I came home to find 3 roses stuck in the snow. My neighbor had put them there because I had been nice to him and his 3 children a few weeks back, and that was life-changing for me. Absolutely.
Cool.
It's incredible.
I like those.
It's incredible.
Like those.
No coincidences with something that specific. There's no way.
Yeah. Let's see. Some quick announcements. We appreciate that you share, promote, like, subscribe, click on the bell, and donate when you can. Yes, you can go straight to the website at this time and put in a donation. That helps keep these kind of activities available for everyone, and help us expand into other activities as well. For internet. So let's see. Real quick, we started talking about last week about the holiday times. So let's see. we are on tonight. We're going to be on next Wednesday, the 21st, but no show on December 28th, which is between
Correct.
the two holidays. Well, between Christmas and New Year's, but yeah, there are other holidays that flow around all of this too. So, again, at this time, if you're seeing us now or then or later, however, happy holidays and happy New Year.
Woohoo!
And
Happy holiday.
let's see. Oh, in the intro, Francine now has a pillow, and Raheim has no pillow. So
Got that detail. Nice.
we got that taken care of. So anyway, where are we? Okay, now I'm seeing what we're doing here. Let's see. Oh, special prayers. If you've got a special prayer, visualize what it is that you're looking for. What is the outcome that you're looking for, and ask for the greater good. And we're all going to put energy for people that have posted on the website on the prayer chain, people that have posted in comments, whether it's before or after live or in the on demand, doesn't matter because there is no time on the other side, and they're available. And you can't say 24/7 because there's no time over there.
There's no
They're
time.
just there. So
They're
we're
available
gonna
always.
we're asking
Yes.
for the for Mother God, the archetypes, the archangels, whoever can participate in helping and assisting those that we have that would like help, asking for assistance with. So let's take a moment of silence and say, "Do it." Amen.
Amen.
Something interesting came to mind thinking about the prayers. I mentioned Twitch, the gentleman that passed away, took his life. A reminder. Um, White entities, when that happens, we've read about in the journey books, and Francine and Raheim have shared with us. When somebody takes their own life, um, the general idea is that they have to come back right away. However, if it's a chemical imbalance situation, that's different because that was not a what's the right maybe a right way to describe it? That's not a cognitive decision. That was the physical body saying, okay, I can't do this anymore, or there was a mistake in a choice or something. So no, those individuals that had a chemical issue, a chemical problem, don't necessarily have to come back right away. The in you can read more about it, about life choices and things like that. We've had heard several discussions about this, but if you've got a loved one that has taken their own life, it's probably 9 times out of 10, uh, it was a if it's a chemical imbalance, they're on the other side with God.
Absolutely.
In typically the ones that do something, it's when somebody does something out of vengeance. When they take their life, when you hear the story of someone that's taken their life out of vengeance, oh, I'm going to get you, and take their life, that, um, those are more likely the ones, in my opinion, that's not a chemical imbalance. That's like trying to get even with somebody, and um, um, they're probably going to end up coming back. But I'm not the psychic that says who goes where, but that's sort of the gist of how that works.
Right. Julie asks, do they eventually come back? And it just depends on the person's circumstance. If someone has taken their life out of vengeance and being in a dark place and trying to take an easy out, like I think some of the people who commit suicide in order to avoid prison, I think some of that might also count as someone who might have to recycle back. So some of those people do have to come back. But it's not like we know like which is which. But for people who are who commit suicide and due to an imbalance, they had a mental illness going on, they weren't thinking clearly. Those folks, it's up to them to, you know, have some counseling on the other side about like what would be their next choice that they would want to pursue to work on themselves. And Sylvia talks about Sylvia's book, Afterlives of the Rich and Famous, and in Past Lives of the Rich and Famous as well, she gets into some celebrities' circumstances where they struggled with substance abuse, like life after life, and then decided like that person is like, I can't keep doing this. Like I can't overcome this this morphic
disease,
resonance I have. This disease.
Yeah.
This cell memory just keeps getting in the way of my perfection, and so they're choosing another path after some counseling in order to still work on their on their own spiritual development. So it's just up to the individual, and it's not meant to be punitive. Is the takeaway. So.
Oh, that's a fun point. I'm glad you. Because I recall, I don't recall who she was pointing to. So yeah, go read the book, or maybe I should. But also, for example, now let's see. To my understanding, Whitney Houston was an overdose, so that's not necessarily taking her own life. To my understanding of the situation, but it's kind of falls in those lines of imbalance and having a challenge with addiction. Whereas in that book, I think one of those two books that you just mentioned, it was talked about how the singer Whitney Houston is on the other side and contemplating coming back and being as a doctor, wants to come back as a doctor to help
bless her.
Research that the illness and help others with that. So that made for help, fun, and enlightening, to understand who's doing what, who said, and how things affect others.
Absolutely. Sherry says, my mother committed suicide and she's on the other side. She had mental health issues due to cancer, and Sylvia told me she made it to the other side. That's good.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
See, yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if anyone has a loved one in mind, or you're going through grief yourself, or you know someone who is going through grief, please use our prayer chain on novus.org, and we'd be happy to say prayers for anyone who's going through some things. And but again, just know that you're not alone, and majority of our loved ones do make it to the other side just fine.
Nice. And thank you all for sharing those things. Those are helpful, because it's not just you, it's others that are listening to this at another time are going to go, that's
Exactly.
going to give them grief relief.
Yeah.
And of course, to finish my topic about prayers, it's be the prayer. If you see a need, fill it.
Amen to that.
Let's see. Appreciate those that are listening into the on the conference call. Yeah. So if you are streaming challenged, yes, there is a conference phone number you can call in and listen live while we are live. That number is 888-534-2696. So when some people, we've had people driving on the freeway because they can't, and you usually can't stream on the freeway, but you can listen to the audio. So that's always a fun way to listen to us. But we do encourage you to keep muted, so that makes for a helpful session for others, a wonderful session for others. And next in line is trance segments.
All right, trance segments. Here we go. So We are continuing on from last week with Raheim talking about ego. So he's going to get into some discussion of Hitler's and Mussolini's egos. Many young people these days are warrior entities and kind of what that looks like for their ego structure as well. Love is the antidote to warped ego and to evil. Jesus says that even he doesn't have all the answers. The only one who has all the answers is God Almighty. And how ego affects our body language.
I didn't see
Interesting. I'm sitting up.
that. All right, here we go. Take notes.
Here we go.
So you may say, I came from a family who held me down. I came from a family who pushed me upward. It doesn't matter. The I am is you're living your life without so much focus on the self-consciousness of your being. And the self-consciousness of your being takes on very rude and strange ways. I want people to know I'm here. Therefore, I will pontificate until they listen. Well, that's what Hitler did. That's what Mussolini did. I will pontificate until everyone will listen to me, or I will kill them if they don't. This is a dangerous thing, and if there's anything that's a cult, it is that. And strangely enough, tragically enough, churches have done this. And listen to how they have done it. If you don't listen to me, you will go to hell. Well, that's the same thing as spraying you with some kind of poison gas. And the real killer of the false ego is love. The real killer of any evil is love. Loving oneself with all the foibles and faults that you have, and may have, and will have, and are overcoming what you do have. And taking yourself, as Sylvia says, with a grain of salt. Looking at yourself with humor. Looking at yourself with not so much, this must be immediate, I must have this, I must have that. That creates the ego to go all out of whack. And we're seeing now, in your world, more psychosis than we've ever seen in all the centuries. We've checked records, we've looked at them, we see younger people becoming more psychotic. And you know what the term of psychosis is one singular focus. And you see, so much of this is because of your society is to survive against all odds. And this has a tendency to make children even all out of balance. I want money, I want playthings, don't tell me what to do, don't bark at me, don't shout orders, because if you do I will make you suffer. And parents are becoming slaves to these children. And they're not bad children, but they're coming in as warrior entities now, as you've been told before. These little entities coming in now are warriors. It doesn't mean the heart of them is not good. They're not children of the lie, although we're seeing a lot of them coming in. And sometimes the ego has to rise above it, but that's the I am of love. So when you get to the point that you think you have found the answers to everything, you are finished. Because not I, and the other day, and I know you may find this amazing, I was speaking with our Lord. He does not have all the answers. He claims he does not. No one except God Almighty has all the answers. So we're all attaining that step by step, inching our little souls towards the knowledge of. And the magnificence of God sending these bright lights to us to swell our souls to make them larger are only by the grace of God. So in your pettiness in your day in and day out, as I had as a living being, we all have them. I had them. You have them. But rise above the pettiness of things. Be very careful, too, that you don't champion something that you do not believe in, because that brings about hypocrisy. And there's nothing more deceitful to self than hypocrisy. If you are sitting here and you do not believe any of this, do not sit here. Go somewhere and meditate and look at the stars. That would be far better for you. Or you're sitting somewhere else and you're listening to something and you're guffawing, go somewhere else. It would be better for you. But your truth and logic will win out, because you'll come to Gnosticism regardless of where you are, because Gnosticism is as old as time. It is based upon the literal logic of man. And the literal logic of man is to keep the ego structure in shape. Now, let me tell you what forces this takes. If the ego is out of whack, so will your body go out of whack with it. Now, we know we've talked about the cell memory, the morphic resonance, we've talked about past lives, but the ego diminishes itself so in some people that you almost see them hunch forward to protect what little light they have. People actually take on the posture of what they're hiding inside. Sometimes the more a person stands tall, is proud, the light is bigger because they're protecting the light. But it actually shows in the motion of walk, the stance of a person. Now, I'm not talking about people that are getting older. I'm not talking about anything that has to do with that. Sylvia's always been fascinated with people's gait, with their walk. She says you can tell so much by the walk. Her father used to walk with his head down and right straight, not looking right or left, and that's the way he approached life, was straight on, head first. Some people saunter through life. That's the way they approach life. Notice people's gaits, the way they stand, sit. You'll see a lot in the body language, the eye movements. A person that cannot look you straight in the eye is a frightening thing. A person who does not let their eyes waver and beat in on you without movement is also frightening, because that's what a snake does. So a person who can look at you, but they blink or they look at something and then they come back to you, that's fine, that's not shifty eyes. But someone who never leaves you begin to get nervous, because it means they have pinned you wriggling on a wall. And this is a form of ego domination. Also, the posture of standing over a person is an ego domination. A person who is truly in an ego position will, you ever watch animals when they're trying to coax, they will lower themselves. And this is where a lot of our beauty of Asian cultures came from, in many ancient cultures. The bowing, for instance, which means I will, out of respect, bow lower than you. Now, the whole ego position then leads us to the mysterious word of respect. Non-existent in your world. Gone. It is a dead dinosaur. There are no bones left of this anymore. There is no archaeologist that can bring it up. The respect of one human being to another, and I'm not speaking about you as the royal we. I'm speaking about what goes on all over this world. It used to be that women were respected because they were respected. Men were looked up to because they were breadwinners. The elderly were certainly appreciated because they had knowledge. Children were loved because they were bringing in the new era that would do the continuum of life. None of these theories are alive anymore.
My 2 cents on this. Oh, the talking about the respect and the bowing of when greeting others, and um, which it's more Asian influence. I've recently learned, because I'd wanted to take this class for a long time, and recently took it about what is it, multicultures, and what are the traditions of other cultures, and how do you greet, and how do you say hi, and how not to insult them in with by accident, kind of thing. And one of the points that was brought up is, what do we Americans do? We Americans are encouraged to reach out and shake hands. Well, that's only in our culture. There are many cultures. It's like, hello, wait a minute. One, you're forcing them to do it, so that's not, how do you say, not recognizing their traditions. And I was like, oh man, that's a fun one to keep in mind. And it's like, okay, let them show you how they want to be greeted. How do they greet you? And I was like, oh, okay, that's because it's like, when you want to meet someone new for the first time, and you're all excited and you want to be polite, and it's like, you know, but then wait a minute, that's only for our culture. That's encouraged in our culture. But it's other cultures, they have different ways of greeting. And so it's a fun, for me, it's fun to recognize what are the other ways. And, with many Asian cultures, it's, when you hand them your business card, show it, respect, and, hand it both hands, and you slightly bow to the other person. So anyway, some fun facts with, um, um, you know, interacting with other cultures. Oh, here. Can I help you with that? There you go. Now you're.
Hot mess. Hello. Oh my goodness. Me and the mute button, I swear. Um yeah, that's a really, really interesting point that I hadn't considered about how animals have a posture of like respect or luring, and um in order to make themselves approachable. And that's interesting that we mirror that in different ways, in our own different cultures. And everything that you were just saying about treating, it reminds me of a phrase. Our our Lord has said, like, treat others the way you want to be treated. And there's I heard a take on that, which is also like, consider treating others how they want to be treated as well. It's like another way to bridge the gap of
Yeah.
being able to relate to people. Yeah.
Yeah. Another anecdote with that. I don't know. Somewhere between 5 and 10 years ago, a gentleman comes back. I think he was in the Marines, and his job in Afghanistan was to go set up schools and help develop the communities and help them get back into. And he'd go in there and start talking about, hey, how can I help you? And wanted to pass out money and get stuff started. And he's like, nobody wanted to talk to him.
Oh
Well,
no.
as after he finally figured out someone helped him figure out what was going on. It was the culture difference and the greeting and so, I don't recall if it was like his last year in the military or after he retired from the military. He wrote a book called Two Cups of Tea.
I've read that. It's amazing. It's a
Yeah,
wonderful read. It's
yeah.
a wonderful read. Oh, incredible.
That's what
Um,
comes to mind, is that, you know, understanding the other culture, and how do they, what makes them feel comfortable, what um, um, gestures, posture, and so on makes them feel comfortable.
yeah. Um, there isn't there is a parallel to this that I'm thinking of the first sermon that our Lord gave. It was so um, it was so mismatched with the culture of where he was preaching that they
Mm-hmm.
almost threw him off a cliff.
Mm.
And so after that, he had to spend a lot of time thinking about how do I deliver and talk to people in a way that they will be able to be receptive.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why so many of his lessons have endured as being parables and having like layers of meaning, so that he can reach people. He could be able to reach people regardless of where they were at with their own understanding of spirituality. So yeah, there's precedent for it. Certainly precedent for it, to think about how is it that I'm coming across so that I can be able to relate and connect to another person who's different than me.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's kind of what I think about whenever people get upset about, like, oh, I don't want to be politically correct or woke or whatever it is that they're, people's terms that they're using. It's like, well, you want to be able to reach people and, speak a language, speak a shared language. So it's good courtesy to, do as Jesus did, to think about, how is it that I'm communicating, and what kind of language should I be mindful about?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, we're not in Rome, so we don't necessarily need
Exactly.
to do as the Romans do, but it's understanding what the Romans do, and to what is communicating. Yeah. Yes, there are.
It's
I'm
good
sure there's.
communication. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's common. What's the word? Common human interaction. That's. But each culture has their, that's been around for a long time, does have their own, uh, you know, what, how do you trust somebody? What kind of mannerisms show that you're
Sure.
a trustworthy person, or you're the foe? So always fun to.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Any
Cool.
comments?
Let's see here. Comments. So, George makes a really nice point here. He says, the way you treat others is the way you treat God. That is literally true, because every person carries a spark of the divine. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Julie says, we express ourselves differently. Absolutely. Mrs. LJ says, I think respect is not based on other individuals, but what you yourself want in your soul's purpose. At the end of the day, you can look in the mirror and say to yourself that you treated all with respect, and all with respect, and respected yourself. Absolutely. Josh says, I feel that's true because I think that telling someone the truth is a form of respect, and sometimes people don't like that you tell them the truth. That is also very true. It's like, okay, how am I going to handle this truth bomb in a way that I need to think about it?
Well, that's definitely the point. You got to think about it, because
you got to think about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But think of it, it is, there's two sides to it, how would you want to be dealt a truth like that,
Yeah.
in their shoes?
We've heard in the past that you don't, if you're trying to figure out how to tell somebody about what's going on, or about what they did, or, that you're not happy with something that happened, think about the upward ceiling is, you don't want to tell somebody something that you yourself could not also handle hearing. It's like, all right, that's a valid truth. That's valid.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be ripped a new one, so I'm not going to do that to other people. Check. All right, cool.
And use another way to, if they don't see eye to eye on the situation, use darn it, but there's a word I'm missing, but analogies. Metaphors and analogies. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to think of. Because that gets a picture in their mind, even though they see the situation, in their ways, but the metaphors and analogies helps paint the picture of something that's relatable to the other person.
Yeah, that is very true. That's a really good point.
And we're hardwired
mhm.
to love stories. So,
Yes, that is very true. Very true. Gibson says you dispel a lot of negative assumptions when you bend to using another person's customs. It opens the door to better communication. That's wisdom. Mm-hmm. And let's see here. And Miss LJ, one more comment here. Personally, I think each ethnicity has a particular way of addressing the older generation or those of position. I'm half and half, so I would address everyone with sir or madam or miss or mister. So, so many. Yeah, I tend to be more. I tend to be formal in a lot of situations too, and people are like, don't call me that. I'm like, oh, but intention is always with just to treat people with respect.
yeah.
I like every time I pass somebody in a job that I would hate to be working in, I always say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, it's like a personal thing. I would hate to be a firefighter. I'd hate to be a police officer. I'd hate to be any sort. I always like go out of my way to say thank you to restaurant workers, to everyone. Like, thank you for doing the job that you're doing. Because I think that, yeah, everything Raheim saying here about how we miss the mark with treating people with respect is, unfortunately, really. Unfortunately, it's a salient point for America. I wanted to say one more thing, and that's about psychosis. So he was saying that psychosis, like the true definition, is when someone gets like so singular on an issue, and I think that fits in with other things that we've heard about psychosis too in the past, about like how if someone gets into a window of negativity in their life, one of the 6 windows in between in between the 5 exit points. So anyway, the windows of negativity. So if someone gets into one of those situations and they are not pushing back and fighting to get out of it, and they just say like, whatever, they end up going through the window, then that's when people end up having mental breaks and psychosis themselves. And it makes sense if you think about it, because from my perspective as a provider, having worked with so many people who have struggled with psychosis as well, so much of their thinking is just stuck on a track. And a lot of the treatment is trying to help them get more flexibility in their thinking. So I thought that was really interesting how he phrased that it's psychosis. That psychosis is like when someone gets so narrow, then it can turn into psychosis. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Are we ready for the next?
I think we're ready for the next. Here we go. So, segment 2. How to restore respect to other age groups. Try each day to say thank you and you're welcome. If you find yourself very disrupted by what you must have or collect, then your ego is in treacherous waters. Native American cultures had the least ego problems, and a face that is unlined has not lived. All right.
Pointing to age marks and fun. Yeah. Right.
And talk about wrinkles and beauty. Cool.
Yeah.
People get married, get rid of the old, and wish they didn't have the children. This is what the society has come to. Now, what can you do about this? You say, but we're small, we're a little group. What can we do? By being kind, by showing by example, by being respectful. You don't know how many people listen to what you say. You don't know how many eyes are resting on you. You don't know how many souls are watching you before they come in, because there's a lot of souls stacked up that are coming in to be Gnostics, and they want to know how to act. So they're watching. And the orientation is that the one thing we're saying now, if you take nothing with you except the appreciation, the loyalty, and the respect. And respecting someone, say for even the time that they have spent on this earth, even so much as giving respect to the homeless person, out of deference to the fact that they are able to survive under a paper box in the worst of weather. That in itself is a respectful gesture, not a jeering gesture. That doesn't mean you have to go over and pick them up, but the respectful. In other words, if you bump into their box, you would say, "I'm sorry, I didn't see you," rather than "get out of my way." Do you see what I mean? The respect of people talking and someone coming up and blurting right into the conversation. You say, "This is a small thing. Why are you getting petty, Raheim?" I'm not petty. It is a kindness that is given. The non-touching. The loving feeling to give to one another. It's gone. Try for one day to each person, no matter how miserable they are, to say thank you, or you're welcome, or I'm pleased to see you. The social amenities of life were always said to be the respectful young gentry or young ladies. The European culture still has some of it, but tragically, the Americanized culture has leaked in. And so, emulating our capitalistic society here, they have lost it because capitalism seems to negate. Because with capitalism, no one cares about each other. There is no such a thing as the old stone soup where everybody throws a vegetable in to make it. So in guarding your ego, people will constantly now get paranoid about their ego, their I am. No. If you are confident with yourself, if you're secure within yourself, and you know that God is with you, it is as simple as that. If you really find yourself disrupted by what you must gain, by what you must garner, by what you must collect, by what you must have, by how many will think you're so smart and bright and wonderful, you're now getting into the treacherous waters. If you take the truth and spill it from your mouth and let it fall wherever it may, and then go marching off and pick daisies, you are far better off than to look back and see who's caught the truth. Like our Lord said, throw your seed, and what will take root will take root. What will not, you do not care. So you can garner all of these little tiny people around you, poor little people, who you want for them to make you feel better, bigger, smarter, cleverer. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. When I was in life, I had close to 70 students at any given time. They used to tell me that I could go out in the world and I, being an orator, could bring a lot more to Gnosticism than I did. After 70, I'm sure that I went through lots of 70s. I didn't want to, because with that comes such a burden of caring for. So maybe it was selfish on my part, but also fearful on my part, is that I didn't want my ego to get out of hand. I didn't want to let the pearls drop and not see beyond my group that I held around me, and be looking out the door to see what other group was going to come in that would give me more accolades. That's a frightening feeling. And it's a hollow feeling. It's a shallow feeling. Better to keep a few warm bodies around you that are searching for the same truth that you are, than to keep hordes who don't care, who drop by for a few moments, spread their scent upon the ground, keep their territory as animals do, urinate around the building, and then go. It's a sad thing. It's a sad thing to watch the destruction of an ego. it's a sad thing because you watch them go in flames. You watch them flare up, flame out, burn low. Not in deference to any other group, but the American Indians probably had the less ego-centered community because they were all either chieftains or warriors. They went out and they killed and they ate and they danced and they had their rituals and they went to bed. And that's the way it should be. It'd be nice if you all had your teepees and you go out and eat and drink, and the women would do the corn and the men would fight and you cook and you all dance around and then you go to bed. Easier for life. Have your babies, grow up, be with nature. Now Sylvia would absolutely kill me because there's nothing about her that wants to be in a tent or a teepee or anything that even looks like one.
Teepee Hilton, maybe.
Anything that has running water. Now, the mirrored image of oneself. Those of you that are mature, I want you to take a mirror tonight and look at yourself in the mirror and go back in time in your own regression and see yourself as 21 years old. I want you to see that. And I want you to look very carefully at that wonderful face of yours that has formed the lines, the tear lines, the worry lines, the weather-beaten lines. Hold your hands up to the mirror and see how the knuckles that have somewhat been bent from digging in soil or caring for a loved one, and be proud of those bulges, those ridges, the worn. That shows that's a life well spent. Now, those of you that are very young, I want you to stand in front of a mirror. And like a computer aging process, begin to see what you will look like at the age of 50, 60, 70. Slacken your jaw, furrow your brow, maybe put a little dark line under your eyes, darken the hollows of your cheeks, and hope before God that you do someday acquire that trademark map on your face, that you have spent a life that has been with exuberance, a face that is unlined and shows no expression, has not lived, has not lived.
Which is an interesting how society and media loves. Here, let me help you with this. There you go. The media loves youth. You know, that's the you got to show youth. You got to show young. You got to be smooth. You got to be clean. You got to be really light skin, and you got to and all that, and which is Raheim's interesting point of, well, then you haven't lived.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I have always said that by the time that I get gray hairs, I will have earned every single one, and I will be displaying it with pride. Same thing with. But I think that that's a really healthy point, though, to just apply that kind of thinking to your whole body. Sometimes people will talk that way about scars, like saying like, no, this is something that I'm proud of. I lived for this.
Yeah.
I got this. And I survived. I'm tough, and it looks cool. What a kind of a nice way to think about that and apply it to all body changes instead.
For people worried about gray hair, because that's a common theme in advertising. Oh, your hair's turning gray. Well, get some hair, spray paint your hair black. No. I recall a fun statement about that. It's what did he? Oh, I almost had it. Almost lost it. That's not age. That's miles.
Miles. Yes, it's miles, and I hope that as I age, my face will reflect that I've smiled and laughed a lot
Yeah.
instead of being very
Well,
serious.
the other one
But
is
that's fine too. Whatever. I don't
the
really care.
the Botox look. No expression.
Oh,
No, yeah. The mouth moves, but nothing else moves.
oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
how
That's no point.
how do you how can you show expression of happiness and wonderment when your cheekbones don't move at all?
Yeah. I I knew somebody who would I was a roommate that I was matched with at school, and she was beautiful and young, and she was so terrified of getting wrinkles that I would listen to her every 5 minutes. She would go into the bathroom to check her face to make sure there were no wrinkles, and then go back.
Oh,
And then
ouch.
5 minutes later, she'd go check her face again, and
Oh,
I was just, man, I just prayed for her because I was like, oh my god, the amount of misery that she must have been going through to be so concerned about what the physical body was like. And I remember having some good conversations with her to try to help her release some of that. But man, I really, really felt for her.
yeah.
Really felt
That's
for her.
I mean that's unfortunate of um your insecurity for one thing, and
Yeah.
unfortunately got focused in on it. But it also sounds like ego, stuck in ego.
Hmm.
That becomes a main focus. But yeah, that's a big stressor.
Hmm.
Every 5 minutes just seems like that's just, that's pretty
It
obsessive.
was it was very, very obsessive. I really felt for her. Like I said, I think people as they age look beautiful. I think my grandmother is gorgeous. I love um I just love the whole process, and I've ever since I remember Sylvia talking about like calling America out for not treating our elders with respect. I was like,
Hmm.
I'm going to make sure that I that I do that, and I'm going to be very mindful to think about how to express my gratitude for people who are older than me in their experience, because just the fact that someone has lived here like longer than I have, much kudos to you. Like that's that's an incredible accomplishment just to survive this planet.
Yeah.
So
Well, going
mhm.
back to respect, it's the reverse of that of, or I should say, non-respect is the reverse of that. Is the what's the comment? Elderly people. Um, I can't remember the fans. The one that just ticks me off. Anyway, it's with elders that are condescending to young people, and I'm like,
Yeah, that's annoying.
please get get over yourself.
Mhm.
Um, um,
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
there's some
it's a
expression
bad
I
look.
may think of it later, but anyway, yeah, it's like, hey,
Mhm.
let's show respect in both directions.
Yeah, we're all God's children.
Well, the humorous one, and this isn't the comment I was thinking of. It was um what is it? Old age and old age and treachery always wins out over beauty and ambition. I think that's just a humorous
That's
one.
hilarious. Old age and treachery always wins out over beauty and ambition.
Yeah,
That's
it
hilarious.
always wins out over youth and ambition. Yeah, that's I
Youth
think
and
what it was.
ambition.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Comments before we hit the
Comments.
next one.
Yes. Got some comments. Gibson says, I listened to the OGs at work that taught me how to do my job better. It's worked for 40 years. That's great. That's great. Um, Sherry says, I used to love listening to my grandmother's stories. Me too. My grandmother has the most creative ways of phrasing things, including when she gets mad and starts swearing. I have never heard such creative expressions. I'm like, I am but a novice. My grandmother is the master. She's a nurse. She quit her job to go volunteer during Hurricane Katrina. Like she's just tremendously determined soul. I love her so much. Miss LJ says, no Botox for me. I truly despise needles. Can't and won't do it.
Oh.
Josh says, right there with you on the needle thing, even though I have a 10-inch one stuck in my abdomen every 2 weeks to keep me comfortable. He's going through some health issues.
Wow.
So, power to you. Julie says, I've heard we have roadmaps, not wrinkles. I love it. I love it. George says, ask God for you to age gracefully. Very, very, very wise request. And Julie says, I was thinking this earlier, that love is universal regardless of how it's communicated or expressed. That is so true. And I think that kind of ties into what we're discussing on larger, with this larger talk about ego. 'Cause he said, like, if you start hyper focusing on like what it is that I have, what it is that I am collecting, then that's when your ego gets into treacherous water. But the thing that disarms that and gets us back on track is just to say, okay, no, who can I love? And so
Yeah.
I went through a period of that in my 20s where my rejection theme, I wanted to read about this real quick. So the rejection theme was out of control, and I was super crushed by some friend drama, and I had gone through some friend breakups, which really sucks because you can't be friends after a friend breakup. And so I was like, I hate feeling this insecure and this broken, and I feel so small on the inside, and I hate it, but I am just going to follow what Sylvia said, was just focus on loving other people. And so I was like, I'm going to do as many good deeds as I can in a day and like make them anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I am forcing myself to get out of any sort of reciprocation of saying like, I need someone to love me. So I forced myself to do just nonstop, just anonymous deed after anonymous deed after anonymous deed.
Wow.
Forced myself to keep my mouth shut. I just, I would say like, thank you for doing what you're doing, and just like leave before they could say anything. I just like love bomb and flew.
Oh, there you go.
Just like, get out of here. And it took years of doing that, but that's what got me out of the rejection theme holding me hostage. So I want to read the rejection theme description because this ties into what we're talking about. This challenging theme manifests itself early, accelerating with the entry into school and subsequently involvement in relationships. So often these entities who have a rejection theme are deserted by those that they love. Even their own children will adopt surrogate mother or father figures. The pattern can be broken once the entity recognizes what's happening and surrenders the action and ego involvement to God. And that's how I did that for myself. As I said, I'm going to just do anonymous deeds and get the heck out of the way. I'm not going to wait for anyone to say anything to me. I'm just going to do good deeds and get out. That's what I did. And it built me up. It built me up in a different way over time. So.
Wow. What was that again? Book again?
This is Mystical Traveler.
Mystical Traveler. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. And the themes are in the front. And so for anyone who's new, a theme is just an overall theme of what a specific lifetime is focused on. So for me, my two themes are humanitarian, which is what gets me out of bed, and then rejection, which is what I have to like learn and bump up against. And so what we've learned about rejection from past trances, if someone has a rejection theme, the point is to just drop it and walk on. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm just going to do good deeds and walk on.
Interesting. Yeah. Themes. it's taken me time to realize, themes are helpful to, especially when you think, oh my God, what's going on in my life? Why does my life feel so hard and challenging, and I don't understand, and why are we here? Understanding your purpose is a helpful tool, I think, is to understand your theme. And in the books, it's talked about, stop and ask. Okay, ask yourself read the themes, and then say, okay, which one of these fits? And if you still don't know, um, my my solution or suggestion is ask Chris Dufresne. Um, because understanding your themes can help you focus on your lessons. You've got life lessons you've written in that you're going to experience, the good and the bad. In understanding your uh, the secondary theme, I think helps overcoming challenges, making it easier to overcome the challenges in life. Catherine's is her secondary theme is rejection. My secondary theme is tolerance, um, which those are the things we need to overcome, and let things go, but each of us has a different theme. I forget, there's like 27 or something like that. I have to look up the number, but those are the basics for each person. Pick something out, and understanding your primary, and that the secondary is something that you want to overcome. This
Hmm.
can be very helpful and give a helpful sense of purpose.
Hmm. Absolutely. Super quick. Within asks well, two things. Anthony, yes, I see you. Please try to stop spamming, buddy. Like you're flooding the chats. Just like, calm it down. Second thing, within says, how can you tell when you passed a theme? Jesus actually, it's known on the other side as a level called level of the Lord. And they talk about it on the other side when they're like, oh, my loved one, meaning us, like one of us, has reached for themselves the level of the Lord, which is like a completion of like what you feel is complete for your own experience of that particular theme. And it's different for different people. Some people might be like, all right, I'm going to do harmony, and it's only like a thimbleful of experience, but they're like, okay, I'm good with this. I'm done with it. And for someone else, it could be like a bucket full of experience, and so it's different for different people. That's what it's called, the level of the Lord. And we're told that it feels like just like a sense of completion. And I have no way of knowing we have no way of knowing like who's there. Like I wish that we had like a gold star saying like, all right, you've officially reached the level of the Lord for what you do. It doesn't mean that our chart has like done necessarily. Someone can still be on the level of the Lord and still be in life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah, you'll you probably know better when you get to the other side, or you could meditate on it and say, okay. Um, but that's a fun point of filling a thimble versus a bucket. It's a matter of what is your unique curiosity? What's going to fulfill your curiosity?
mhm, exactly. All right, shall we move on to the third segment?
Sure.
Okay, so we have last segment. Raheim loved his wrinkled face. Ego loves outward beauty, but there's a fine line between wine and vinegar. When you shave off the expectations on what you have to do and what you have on yourself, then your life becomes freer. And Raheim's thoughts on tattoos.
Hmm.
I used to love my wrinkles when I lived. I used to outline them in red. One day I sat in front of my people and I had a red, and we used to make them out of beetles. That's how we made. And some of your lipsticks up until your year 1930 used to be made out of red beetles. So we used to mash them up And I guess you would call this in your vernacular war paint. But I'd line every one of my lines, and I would sit in front of my students waiting for someone, and they wouldn't dare laugh. But they would look at me very strangely, and one was kind enough, or brave enough, I should say, to raise his hand one day and say to me, some of them called me sire. Why do you have the red markings? And I said, to show you exactly where my road has taken me to. And so if I outline it, you will see my road. And my road is one that I am proud of. I have slept on this side of my face. I have slept on that side of my face. I have had egg on my face. I've had my face in the wrong places. And all of it shows. It is a mirror of where I have been and where maybe I hope to go. And that's another thing that ego seems to take such a fancy for, is the beauty of the outward glow. And there's nothing wrong with a firm cheek and a rosy eye and a glint and possibly nice teeth or whatever the other flavorings of the human being are. But there's nothing like a well-seasoned wine. So all of you young ones sitting there, hope that you season well and that you do not become vinegar. Because there's a fine line between wine of becoming vinegar or wine. And you can always tell wine because it is wise, it is slower moving, it is nicer, it is kinder, it is observant, it is participating. It's not rabid and emotional and everything is immediate. So be wise while you're young. And as you get older, be younger while you're older. Yes?
Why did Sylvia get a facelift?
Because she's a beautiful woman, probably. And she wanted to stay that way.
It's interesting you're speaking of this. I was thinking about exactly what you're talking about and taking from bits of speeches Sylvia had spoken about and putting them together. And one of the things that I was thinking about was that, you know, when she said yesterday that she was speaking to her son, and he said, "Oh, but Mom, wouldn't you have gone through it over again?" She said, "No." That started me thinking that, you know, there are certain things in my life that I would not do again.
That's right.
And I started to think, you know, if I had the ability to be able to say to my guide, "Okay, what's next?" And she said, "Well, from this age to this age, you must go through this. And in order for you to know what you're going to do with your life, you have to go through these experiences, and they're non-negotiable. You must work with these people.
You must put up with their stuff."
Yeah, all that stuff. And there's some good possibilities that may happen, but don't count on it. My attitude would have been so different. It would have been, like it was when I was a child, which was, someday this will be over and I will grow up and I won't have to endure this, and that got me through. So I'm back at that point, but I'm also sort of afraid to, I mean, you could put me anywhere and I'd help somebody. You could put me in prison and I'd help somebody. You
Right.
put me on the street, I'd help
Yes,
somebody.
you would give of yourself.
But now I'm at a point where I kind of feel like with, you know, Asna, the people that you want to help me to help, you bring them to me. But in terms of, I don't want to get slammed anymore, and if that means there are certain things that I can't have. I mean, there's certain joyous things that I am.
Then you're willing to do the trade-off.
Yeah, because I think it's sort of like, I have to be here.
Make the best of it.
So it means maybe I won't get married, maybe I won't have children, but I'll be able to get through.
That's right.
And
It's the simplicity of the ego. See, when you start doing that, you're shaving off all the expectations. And once you shave off the expectations, I grant you that life becomes abundantly much more flavorful than the expectation of. I must get married, I must have children, I must do whatever it must be, not just that, but whatever it must be. I must be great, I must be small, I must be larger than life, I must be an actress, I must be whatever it might be. When the expectations drop and you go into full-blown survival and helping, you're on the right track.
But it's kind of I've noticed our society really programs us into thinking these are the things that you must. I don't care what age it is, and they do it to men and women.
They do it at any age. At any given age, you're supposed to be this.
And so what happens is it's very hard, and I'm right now trying to find that balance between and reminding myself, this is the world I live in, not this world, and it's very hard not to get sucked in because there are people that are put in your life to test you on that all the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes.
Raheim, I'm not questioning at all, but I think I might have an explanation in our terminology that perhaps you haven't come across yet, and heaven help you, I hope you don't have to. In our society, as you so well put, when you take a woman such as Sylvia that is in the public eye constantly, if she didn't do things to make her as the public sees her.
Oh, you're back. Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. They wouldn't accept her.
That is right.
That's
because
right.
Our society is
loves you
based thing.
Well, she has a very good genetics, but I think
that's right.
Yes, but going back to the facelift, we actually encouraged that because we said because the youth is what. But of course, to be 60 years old, it looks like she does at any age would be quite a feat.
Yes. But so I didn't mean to put.
Oh no, I know. I think that was very nice, though. But I think and I think she's eventually going to have her eyes done again. So
she should because she is in the public.
She's in the public eye, and that's one of the things that you have to do as the Romans do when you're in Rome.
Right.
Yes.
It's interesting because I believe that if I look in the mirror, I still trace the lines, but I have this thing that I just like, and that is I tattoo my eyebrows, I tattoo my eyeliner, I tattoo my lip
and
liner,
that was very big in my day. Do you know that was a beautiful thing in my day, tattooing was. I know Sylvia's not thrilled about the body so much, that just happens to be a thing with her, but I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore it. I had a bird that was tattooed on my shoulder that was done by a very great artist. I had a small chain that was tattooed around my wrist. I like that. I mean, I loved all the adornments of the body.
Yeah, so do I. And so I think I could still mark up all the lines and the paths that are there. I don't think it changes that.
Well, just a reminder. I'm not gonna get tattoos anytime soon. My
Not gonna get your eyebrows tattooed?
No, but I've seen it, and it's unique. It looks nice, and it's like, okay, that's as challenging as that could be to do it, or how I perceive it to be. Tattooing such sensitive spaces. Talk about low maintenance at that point. It's like you're not having to do all that makeup every day. It does look nice, and it goes along with my ideas of simplicity, low maintenance, and keep things simple. But I'm not a tourist.
Yeah, I've never pursued it myself, but my mom actually had it done when she was younger, getting her getting like the eyeshadow, eyeliner tattoos.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, that is so brave.
Yeah.
So brave, but she never had to do her makeup after that. She looked very pretty.
Yep.
So,
Same with the eyebrows. Getting the eyebrow patch done so it
hmm
looks neat and always sharp.
hmm
Oh, um, what was it? It was talk about following society's norms, and it gets back to hey, seeker after your own truth, not what others um, not what others tell you should be doing, and going back to the Sylvia's mind theory, picturing that pyramid over your head, and what the the idea is that you're closing off the influence from the earth, or the physical, as it were, and being open to the spiritual side of yourself, and that's going to help reduce loss of energy, feeling drained, uh, um, and finding out who you are.
yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate hearing this message that it is that it just that it's reaffirming that it is okay to want to look pretty and to want to look presentable and to want
Right.
to have prosperity. We were told that prosperity exists to, because it's like okay for us to reach for it. And so it's okay to want those things. It's just we have to also keep in balance the ego. And I've had times where I've been really had a lot of trepidation about pursuing something because I didn't want to go through that rejection ego thing, getting us like destabilized again.
Uh-huh.
Where I was so I did something similar to what Raheim was talking about. I was like, I didn't pursue something even though I could have. I was like, I want to make sure that I'm actually still really in a good place with my ego so that I don't go through that rejection theme nonsense again. And so by slowing down my life and my pacing, I've actually been really happy with the results on the inside, which is that I now when rejection stuff like comes at me, I'm not. It just rolls off.
Doesn't pull the rug out from under you.
No,
It's like,
it doesn't.
you're just moving on.
Like
and
I don't care. I feel like a
Yeah.
normal person reacting to a rejection, which is great. That's all I wanted. Just like I want to just basically not care and make some laughs about it and just move on with my life. And so I feel like I'm in a really, really good place now with it. And so I'm probably I decided to pursue going like those things that I wanted to do in the past. I'm now pursuing doing them now because I feel like I'm in a good place with it. So
Yeah.
I loved Raheim like talking about that he went through something similar.
Cool. Any last comments before we jump into the?
Yeah. Gibson says the tattoos fade over time. The eye tattoos fade over time. You have to have them redone.
Yep.
Sherry says my daughter loves tattoos too. That's very cool. I thought about getting like the three circles, 3 Novus circles.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't have a tattoo, but that's okay. Miss LJ says some tattoos are nice, but again with the needles, no thank you ever.
Well, then there's always henna tattoos. Those are temporary.
I love henna. I adore henna. Absolutely. And then someone asked a question about Gibson asked a question about other themes that weren't mentioned in the books. So Pioneer and Pilgrim are not themes. Those are types of mission lives that you can take. And so those are different, but themes that were not mentioned in the books that have been talked about and get brought up in like readings with Chris: martyr, freedom, wealth, and caretaker. So those are 4 other themes that aren't mentioned on all the books: martyr, freedom, wealth, and caretaker. So thank you everybody for your amazing comments. It's so much fun to have these discussions.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because everybody learns from that. Everybody gets to learn through that. Well,
Absolutely.
then now's time for meditation. So find yourself a comfortable place to sit with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap to receive that wonderful rejuvenation and healing energy. And for those of you that are doing something that need to pay attention to what you're doing, don't pay attention to us, but by all means come back and listen to these wonderful meditations on demand. In the meantime, I'm going to figure out where I put this thing here. That looks like a good one. All right. Yep, find yourself that spot and enjoy the meditation.
Find a comfortable position, sitting in a chair with your feet flat on the floor and your palms upward on your lap. Now, take 3 deep breaths to start relaxing the mind and the body. Now, when you are ready, close your eyes.
The candle. Today and throughout the week, really make this a special time for Christ consciousness and for appreciating Father's God's protection. Think of a candlelight infusion, brilliance, and the warmth and grace of Jesus. These fill every single part of your heart and soul. Feel yourself walking the same dusty road that He walked, giving out His message and dispersing love and goodness. Feel His caring and love for His fellow human beings. The candlelight begins to have a halo around it, which burns away all worries about yourself and your family, health, money, car, and household. All those worries and things that you carry with you, let them all be rinsed out, because all things pass away. It is all a dream, and you can make it a fun one. You can laugh at the iniquities of life. Feel yourself being reborn and resolve to love yourself more and more. Take the edge off your impatience and realize that the true reason for your life is to experience for God. Feel a rainbow of color now spreading through you, the green of healing, the gold of Mother Asna, the purple of spirituality, and the white light beaming down. Feel deserving of the love that you have for yourself. Stop all petty jealousies and worries. Let go of the hurts that have been put on you and realize it is all part of living. It's all part of the flesh. Forgive yourself for any transgressions that you believe you have acted out. Ask to remain on track in this path. Now that you have caught the hand of God, let Him take your old overlays of behavior. Give them to God, who is always there for us, static and omnipotent. If you do this, you will never be alone again, because your inner peace will always be with you. Warmth surges through you, taking away all pain and fear. Keep this light around you, and every single day this week, try to do one unselfish thing for yourself. Because when you truly love yourself, you will be able to love all others, and they will feel it. God love you.
Now, on the count of 3, come all the way back to full alertness. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Talk about dropping emotional baggage. That was like, wow. Helpful identifier and
Absolutely.
take a moment to come back and
Recenter,
yeah,
rebalance,
and rethink,
refreshed. Yes.
recognify, yeah, something. Well, in the meantime, while you're doing that, if you have any questions about what we share, feel free to post in chat or email us questions to cat@novus.org or tom@novus.org. Of course, we appreciate the listeners, both live and on demand. Show your appreciation for New Spirit Radio by sharing, promoting, liking, and subscribing. Yeah. Check out our websites at novus.org, sylviabrowne.com, chrisrightnow.com. Find us on Facebook at Society of Novus Spiritus, Sylvia Browne Group, and eventually I'm eliminating New Spirit Radio. But there are study groups that you can participate in. Let's see. Yep, and we're on YouTube with Society of Novus Spiritus and Chris Dufresne's YouTube channel, Psychic Awareness. If you want to donate and get something in return, you can start a study group. You'll learn more about our philosophy, and plus you'll get a monthly Sunday service CD and newsletter associated with that. Let's see, if you want to and keep getting mixed up with, if you want to get something and donate, let's see, you can tell Amazon Smile that you want to donate your proceeds to Society of Novus Spiritus. Church services. Watch Sunday service on Facebook and YouTube. There are classics of Larry and Sylvia on the first Sundays of the month, except for January. This year, or no, next year, it's going to be January 8th, I think will be the first one. And let's see, Reverend Ellen Schloss has special Sunday Zoom service that you're invited to participate in. How do you join that? Put your email in the website at novus.org and you'll get an invitation to how to participate in that. Well, let's see. Oh, Novena. I was telling people about Novena. This is our special prayer service where we're asking for special things. And how that works, all at the same time. We're going to say it with me as I'm saying it, regardless of when, where, and how you're hearing this. We're going to say this phrase together 3 times. And now the phrase is, I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. We'll say it 3 times together, and I'll mention what we want to ask for after each session of 3s. So visualize all of us together in the same room. Yes, it's going to be a big room. Doesn't matter when, where, how. But visualize all of us holding hands together, making this huge ring of people that we're all saying this together. So here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for yourself. Okay, here we go. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, ask for things for others. Okay, and the last one. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. I am God. I am part of God. I am God. All things are possible because I am God. Now, picture our light going out like a light beacon, going out for others seeking this spiritual knowledge. And they find, we get to share and be Johnny Appleseeds for people. Let's see. Oops. I'm going to.
Johnny Appleseeds of spirituality.
There you go. So
Throw your
take a
seeds
moment
and
and think of what you're appreciative of. We want to make sure that we you know think of appreciation. Take some time out and say what are we appreciative of. It helps our minds, helps us stay positive. In the meantime, show your appreciation to Francine and Raheim for researching all of this wonderful knowledge. To Sylvia for coming to this insane asylum of the universe to start this movement, and for showing us how to get some peace of mind and grace while we're here. Asna for helping us and protecting us. Father God for providing the most prestigious school for us to experience, learn, and satisfy our unique spark of curiosity. And Bob Ingle for helping with the graphics and some audio. Sammy and Javon for our wonderful intro outro music that we should be keeping as is, I guess, because the general consensus is don't touch it. Okay,
don't touch it.
so writing, setup, hosting is MIT Catherine Taylor. Editing, technical direction, and hosting is Reverend Tom Bigley. And now, let's see, we got a prayer from Sylvia. And yeah, the kitty cat's
Come
got
here.
an opinion too.
Come on.
Ah, there we go. That's what I wanted. Here we go.
Winter Solstice Prayer for Evening. Dear Mother Asna, please know us by name, know our faces and know our hearts. Make us strong throughout this year so that no matter what adversity comes, we are able to handle it. Know that this life is only transient and that it is a passing star in a dark night. We also ask as we pass through this dark night of life that we be like a streaking comet, that we give off brilliance so that everyone that follows after us will be able to know us, that the name of Gnosticism will be on everyone's lips, and your name, dearest Mother, will be heralded throughout the world. Again we ask this in the name of our Lord Jesus, Father God, Mother God, in the Christ consciousness and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
And Kat's going to tell us.
We
Can't
love
blow
you
up candles.
so much. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you soon. Good night.
Ignored you as if you were not there. All praise went to the Father. We were so unaware that through the years you've shed your tears for all the pain we bear. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You've planted every blade of grass, creator of the stars. And when I'm feeling down and out, you mend my broken heart. So now I sing this song of thanks because of who you are. Oh, Asna, how we love you. Place no one above you. Always thinking of you. Bless your name. You are Mother God. You're more than a friend to